My name is Paul Byrne. I'm Head of Sales at Dublin Chamber of Commerce. In a nutshell, my role is to help accelerate the development of businesses in the Greater Dublin area through helping them with connectivity and building trust in the different relationships that they have. At the Chamber, we're about three main things. The first is networking, which we're going to spend a good bit of time on today. The second is learning, and that learning comes about as a result of the networking sessions that people attend and the nature of the dialogue that takes place between them. And the third key area that we're about is voice. So by voice, what do I mean? Voice, there's three voices in the chamber. There's your voice every time that you interact with somebody and how you express yourself, the degree of confidence and how you portray it. There's the voice of your business, so how you portray your business and how that comes across to a group of people or an individual. And the third voice is the voice of the chamber. We have a significant voice in business in terms of how we relate to other businesses and how we lobby on behalf of businesses at governmental level. Just to put it in context, just to give you a 1 minute snippet on the chamber, we have over 1,300 companies in membership, of which about 800 are SMEs and a further 400 or 500 businesses are mid and large corporates. We have a very, very busy events program. We run over 100 events each year, so there's something of choice for every business there, and it can really help to accelerate your networking activity. In terms of representation in the food and drink sector, which is particularly relevant here today, we have many, many companies in membership who are directly involved and who are supporters into the food sector. They would include the likes of Glanbia, Aramark, Diageo, Greencore, Topaz, Applegreen, and many, many others. So you can see that we have a very good representation in food and drink. Today I'm going to focus solely on networking and how to accelerate your sales using a focused networking strategy. So, in a single sentence, what is networking about? Networking is all about having lots of good quality customer conversations. What do I mean by that? The first conversation is a difficult one. You've probably had 50 of them already today walking around the conference here. You're meeting people for the first time ever. So that's what I call a cold conversation. But that coldness starts to dissipate the minute you shake hands and make eye contact with that person. And it's the professionalism with which you undertake that activity that gets you up the curve with that person or persons very, very fast. At each subsequent meeting, the relationship starts to become warm. And the critical thing for each of us is to think about the nature of the conversations that we have, the frequency of those conversations, the quality of those conversations, and the strategic nature of them. Because if we have lots and lots of those deep and meaningful conversations, it makes a huge difference to our conversion rate. So now I'm going to kick into the main presentation. So we're going to examine three key areas: networking fundamentals, networking strategy, and networking execution. So this picture here is actually, I think it typifies what's going on here today. Just think about it. These guys have come to a watering hole. They've travelled many, many miles to get what's their lifeblood. Today there's up to possibly 2,000 people in City West, all here to meet, to do business, to learn, to network, and to do lots of other good stuff. So you have to ask yourself, are you coming to the right watering holes on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? And the most important word there at the end of the screen is strategy. What was your strategy when you came to the event today? Did you just turn up, or did you think about it last night as you were coming here on your own, or with your colleagues, or with your team? Did you have a clearly defined plan? Do you want to go away with 5 key new prospects who are really, really warm? Or are you happy to go away with 5 cold new leads? Or maybe you had no ambition. Maybe you were just coming to see what the event was about. Each one of those strategies is the right strategy for you, provided you've given it some thought beforehand. And that's really the point I'm making, is to give it some thought. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spend, you probably won't be able to read this from here, so I'm just going to fly through it. It's some of the core principles of networking, right? And I'm going to make these slides available to everybody afterwards. Anybody that wants to get a copy of these, you can give me your card, or maybe Food and Drink will make them available online. So don't worry about taking notes. So what's networking about? We network to get work. It largely eliminates cold calling. It leads to referrals. It helps to build your ambassadors, and it also helps to build your black book of contacts. It's a combination of life skills, social skills, combined with sales skills. It gets you known by those who count. It gets you more prospects and makes you more contacts. It also makes you more sales, and that's the reason why we're all here, is to sell and to learn. It helps to build relationships and build your own career. Building your career is very important because you're representing both your personal brand and your professional brand. And by coming out to network, you're making all those new contacts which may enable you or help you up the career ladder, or also leverage you into a new role. Having a 60-second pitch is important, but what I say to people is keep that pitch very, very fluid. And what you'll find as you move throughout the room today, your pitch continues to adjust each time you tell it, depending on the circumstances. But have a little core and build on that core each time you have a new interaction. It's also very good for making friends, and it's also very good for spending time with people that you don't know. There's no point in hanging out with the same people day after day after day, because you're only going to hear the same stuff. If you want to learn new things, there's no better way to do that than to come out networking and meet new people from within your sector, or indeed even better still from outside of your sector. Networking is about a personal relationship. It's about face-to-face contact. It's about eye-to-eye contact. It's about ear-to-ear, and it's how you use the senses to best engage with another person. And last but by no means least, I just want on this slide want to mention social networking. This is a vital part of each of our businesses today. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, email and phone. Don't forget the phone. The phone is absolutely fantastic. And I think email has taken over a lot, as has other elements of social media. Phoning somebody actually at this stage creates an element of surprise, because they're just not used to hearing the phone ring anymore. So my tip for today is use the phone. Okay, I'm going to fly through this one. These are some top tips that I've gathered over the years in networking. Walking into a situation one-to-one is quite easy because there's no barriers. You just go up, you hold out your hand and you give a professional handshake, and you start with making the proper eye contact. But you've got to be very, very careful when you're walking into a group. If there's 3 or 4 people around, you don't just waltz in or barge in straight away. The best thing to do of the lot is to ask permission to enter that group. And when you ask for permission, you get immediate respect, and you're generally speaking brought in warmly. Nobody will say no to you. So again, the eyes, the ears and the mouth, listening and connecting, and not talking too much, as I'm doing today. A trick to remember the names is, what I do is I repeat the names of the people 3 times over in my head. So when I meet Sean and John and Valerie, I always say Sean, 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 John, 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 Valerie, 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 so that I can remember their names as I continue the conversation with them. It's just reinforcing it, because it is embarrassing when you can't remember the names of the people you've just shaken hands with. Authenticity. Be true to yourself. Each one of us has grown up with a particular value system and approach in life. So don't be afraid to be authentic. Authentic in how you dress, authentic in how you behave, and authentic in the things that you say to people. You will be far more respected for being authentic rather than being false. Having openness is very, very important as well, and honesty. Again, that builds trust very, very rapidly with people. I would go so far as to say, don't be worried about exposing yourself, because when you do, people really see you as a human being and as somebody who has had maybe ups and downs in life, but the fact that you're prepared to share with a stranger is sometimes very disarming, and it can get you to a position of trust very, very quickly. So my piece of advice is consider taking that risk. It's a risk well worth taking. Be present and in the now with people. So again, that's really in terms of how we are now. We're practicing active listening, and every time that we're with another prospect or having a conversation, staying with that person. A fatal mistake to make is to let the eyes drift and to be looking down the end of the crowd, or to be looking past that person, or to be looking at another group, because that just blows the conversation straight away. You've lost the person. They may stay listening to you, but their eyes glaze over, they blank, and they're no longer interested in you. So you've got to stay with them. So acute listening and being engaged on multiple levels is really important. Respect is massive. The more you respect somebody, the more rapidly you can build that trust. Also being non-judgmental. I'm not going to explain what that means. I think we all know, but it's very, very important. And the art of storytelling. If we can all tell short, compelling stories, that's really important. Trust building, 7 steps. Questioning, listening, clarifying, empathizing, questioning again, promising. Promise to do something, to give something, to help somebody. Come away from that conversation and commit to action. Follow through on it. It's not about the number of connections you have, it's about the quality. So we all have hundreds or thousands of connections nowadays, and my tip to you is to go through all of those, summarize them, and make a list of who are the key people that you can call on for help. Whoever it is that can provide that help, get them on an Excel spreadsheet. Move away from the thousands of contacts, get it down to 100 or 200, and then use those. Okay, I'm going to fly through this just very quickly. This is a slight digression, but it's a template I've invented called the 9 zones, and this is actually very relevant for networking. I'm not going to explain them all, but there's a couple that I will delve into. The zone of what you should do is, before each meeting, you should decide, what zone do I want to be in today? And as you go into a meeting, where do I need to be? Do I need to change zones a number of times in a meeting? Am I going to be stretched? Am I going to be in panic if I get asked a really difficult question? How do I react to that? Giving before you receive is vitally important, and how you receive is also very, very important. A lot of people today don't take the time to say thanks, or they don't know how to say thanks properly. So reciprocating, if you receive a gift, if you reciprocate with a further gift, that's very, very beneficial and will differentiate you from the competition. The zone inside is inside sales, and field is field sales, what we're doing today. Zone of potential agreement is having your mind's eye on where is it that a deal can be settled, so knowing the pain points or the break points in terms of settling a deal. The last zone in the middle is the one I love the most. All SMEs have it as they start and set up their business. So you've got to have courage, you have to have a vision, you've got to disrupt other businesses and go out and create something new. So that zone is fabulous to spend a lot of time in. It's Apple, it's Steve Jobs, it's Apple personified. So I think that's the best story I can tell around it. So to finish on the fundamentals, it's about listening, respect, and building credibility and trust in every interaction. Just moving on to strategy, you need to have a plan for every day and visualize what that success is going to look like. I'm not going to explain visualization other than to say it's a very, very powerful technique. An anagram I'm going to leave with you is, from outstanding clarity you succeed, FOCUS. If you practice intense clarity and focus on whatever your mission is in sales, it will really help to up your game. And then just come back to the zones. Ask yourself, where do I need to be before, during, or after a meeting? I've touched on this already in terms of trust. the 7 steps, which are self-explanatory, but they do actually work. When you go through this progression with a prospect or somebody you've met, it really does help, because it's a framework and it helps you to build that trust. So to quote the great Martin Luther King, faith is all about taking that first step, even when you don't see the full staircase. So if you apply that to trust, don't be afraid. Go out there and build the trust, and you will succeed. So in conclusion, if they like you and they believe in you and they have confidence in you and they trust you, then they may buy from you. However, some customers will just be prepared to take the lowest price. So how do you win in that situation? My proposal is that you've got to differentiate, and the key differentiator is the art of giving. The more that you give in that kind of a situation, you up your chance of succeeding. Trust is earned day by day. Trust yourself first is the key. So have the confidence to work the crowd of 2,000 today, and you'll definitely succeed. So finally, if anybody would like to learn more about Dublin Chamber of Commerce, we're at table number 46. I have a number of my colleagues in the room, Maura Walsh here, Rob Cullen and Donal Milton, and we'd be thrilled to talk to you. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you, so thank you very, very much.